Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our, no, it was too early. Welcome to our training number 5. 5 out of 8 for the core trainings. We see. No, yeah. No, we are done. Okay, so here we see, as a remember, our training. So we have 9 trainings in the core trainings. The number 9, production and manufacturing, was added recently. We are especially with the Romanian partner, the Northeast Development Agency. They are trying to putting a 9 training together on production and manufacturing. It will be confirmed shortly, hopefully. Today we are training number 5 on market research. There will be a second one. You see 2 lines below, a second training on market research. This because it was requested by the partners. It was mentioned that was one of the main topics. So there will be different approaches to market research in the second training. And in June we will start working on the advanced training. But the partners know this time plan. So we are, at least on Atrineo's side with Store, we are working on that already. But let's go to the topic of today. Okay, so today, what will we hear about, just as a short introduction? So first, Sylvia, which is a colleague of Tor. Thank you, Sylvia, to join us today. Sylvia will introduce herself a bit more in details. She will talk about target markets and market segmentation, which is a topic that was highlighted by the survey around the partners. After that, we will hear from Borut, which you know all from Pomorze Technology Park, who will talk about market entry. Hello, Borut. Nice to see you. Market entry and market expansion. And then we will have the colleagues from PBN who will present us some case studies, but also Sylvia and Borut have case studies in the presentation. So we tried since the beginning to have always some connection to the application in the daily work as innovation support providers, and both have also included case studies. So thank you for also paying attention to that. So this is our program. As usual, we will be together around 3 hours, depending on questions, discussions, and close at 12 o'clock. After the meetings, the presentations will be made available, the recording will be made available. So if you need or want to forward the information to more colleagues of yours or regional stakeholders, you can do that. So this is the plan for today. We will have the presentations in this order. So first Sylvia, then Borut, and then the colleagues from PBN. So I stopped sharing my presentation because we are not here to listen to the introduction, but to listen to our speaker. Sylvia, I give you the word, and as we don't know you personally, maybe you can say a few words about you and then go on with your presentations.
Pleasure. Thank you so much, Luke. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm a colleague of Tor, like Luke mentioned, so we are together at Atrineo. By training, I'm a molecular biologist. Did my PhD a while ago here locally in Karlsruhe. Originally, I come from Poland, so international travel and intercultural exchange and work is also something that I'm familiar with. So it's very nice to meet you all. this morning. After I graduated with my PhD, I decided that biology or basic research in biology is not so exciting to me anymore. So I went to the Institute of Nanotechnology and worked on more interdisciplinary research. So somewhere at the interface of physics, biology, and chemistry and electronics was for many, many years, a nice location to be for me. At the end of my postdoc time, I founded a startup and together with my two colleagues from the Institute. And so the topic of today for market orientation is very close to my heart. So if you have any questions, I have also chat here open, so I can try to answer your questions as we go. So don't hesitate to ask me anything. And after my startup, I decided that scientists like myself really need... Sorry? Okay, sorry. Just please make sure that your mics are off. After the startup, I decided that scientists like myself really need a lot of support, even though, especially in Germany, there is a lot of programs to support them, but internationally, there is still a lot of needs to support us in transfer, in taking our ideas from the research into the market. So I'm really happy that I got to meet you today and talk about that topic. And like mentioned, just don't hesitate to ask me any questions either today or in a follow-up email. So to dive into the presentation, we will focus on two cores for the next 50 minutes about. First, there will be a little... Yes, thanks, Goran. First, we'll talk a little bit about the framework of how to do market analysis so that you get a bit more familiar with how it works. Perhaps even some of it you can do yourself when you have some idea how to take your innovations and how to position them. And case study will illustrate again how such a market analysis could look like when it's complete. So it will be a nice illustration for you of the whole journey. And theoretical framework is here just to give you some anchor of understanding how it can be done. But there's, of course, much more details and finesse into it. To guide us through this, especially theoretical examples, we've chose a little bit of an example to illustrate you also even on that in that framework, one thing that you can follow and you can get familiar with when these topics are brought, so it's not so abstract to you. I'm sorry, someone else's microphone is still on.
Yeah, please close your microphones.
Yes, please make sure everyone. I know for online meetings, we're used to that in COVID. We also run at Atrineo some online workshops. So I know it's sometimes depend when automatically mics are on. So coming back to an example, this is one that illustrates motion feedback system, and it's for you to see and also open up your mind a little bit that sometimes we think about our ideas in one dimension, but it doesn't mean that the applications and use cases are only limited to that. So we'll follow this example through, especially through the framework. Regarding the innovation aspect of your projects, how to apply it, we'll have few steps here to guide you. The use cases of your ideas is one thing, but also how that can be really translated into different industries as applications is sometimes surprisingly yet another. And based on these applications, you can take it to another step, project development, where you really want to develop it further, either on the umbrella of funding, public funding, or collaborations with industry. And once it's more complete and, so to say, mature, you would then think of a market entry. And this is where perfectly Borut's presentation will follow up to take you to that journey, what happens once your project is slightly more developed, more mature. So it's a nice planning for today, just to take you through the whole journey. So we have these 4 steps to follow, and we'll go through them now one by one, just to illustrate you how to take you on that journey. When it comes to use cases, often we think of this is your know-how, your expertise behind the product you try to develop or the idea you try to develop. But what is very important to ask here at this point, and I know it also from experience in my startup, in my research, I've done also on the research to technology transfer projects with companies. So it was already a nice journey for me to understand how industry ticks, what is their perspective, perspective, how do they think about their products and ideas? The main question for you to answer at this point is, what is special about your idea? How unique it is in comparison with other things that are out there in the universe. And without having a clear answer to it, you won't be able to take it to the next step. So this is very important to address. It seems very trivial and logical, but you really need to have clarity on that. And only with that clarity, you can have a clear communication and clear follow-up actions in the next stage. So make sure that you have a good answer to what features of your product, of your idea are special and how unique is it. Then you take it to the next stage and you ask yourself some more questions. So how your idea, your unique features of a product can be then applied for some use cases. And you have here listed some application questions. Where does your product, your idea locate yourself? Where can it benefit someone? How do I transfer it? Is it a startup? Is this a service? And do you need some help when it comes to supporting you on this journey? How do you communicate it with the outside world, and who at the end of the day would use it? Yes, this is very important to consider. And often in research, especially for when I speak from my journey, we did think that it would be people like us, similar to us in thinking. And the journey was also very surprising to us to find out that there is more to that. So we can, of course, benefit from these different applications, different use cases of your product. But they only come when you ask right questions also to the people that are around you, your potential customers. So that takes you through the step number 2, search for applications. I'm sorry. Microphones off, please. Thank you very much. Just sorry, I'll look for who that is. Thank you. To illustrate to you how this can look like on this motion feedback system, you have on the left panel some use cases to show you how this motion feedback system can be used for improving the movement of the user, facilitate coaching by trainers or physicians, improve the quality or performance or aspects of some sports goods, and of course, increase overall sport experience. These could be potential use cases, but you can also ask, okay, where do I apply it? Would the industry need it more than perhaps someone in healthcare? And how about society? Would the society overall benefit from this idea, this product? And of course, somewhere deeply in sports embedded applications, would there be someone benefiting from it, wanting to use it? So this is a connection between use cases and application areas. And when you think of application areas, you can think even bigger. And for that, you typically would need a big piece of paper to create a mind map. And with these mind maps, we do it very often in live workshops. This is, I consider it a canvas of freedom. You take a pen and paper, put a title of or name of your product in the middle, at the heart of it, and you try to map out different industries. In this case, we have a society as an illustration, industry, healthcare, and sports. And then you try to build the understanding who in this particular application fields would benefit from it. It might take you quite some time. If you have a friend, team member to help you there, it would be very beneficial to do it together so that you're not stuck in your own mindset. But this mind map will really show you the whole potential of how your product, how your idea could be used. And what might surprise you is the potential of many applications. Luke, please, do you have a question?
Yeah, Sylvia was wondering at this stage, are you doing it by yourself, or are you already reaching out to the outside to try to understand, or is it in the first phase which you do by yourself and a colleague, and you take a piece of paper and you just put down what you think?
You could do it. I prefer to do it with the team, because then that brainstorming aspect really adds value to it. Sometimes you're already stuck in your way of thinking about applications, and it can be very limiting, and Borut is putting thumbs up there. So with the team, you have that power of another person's point of view, and that frees you a little bit from your own limitations. You could, of course, if you have a team that is maybe locationally separated or time-wise separated, you could start on your own and then merge ideas together.
Yeah.
But that mind mapping would be really something to expand, and doing it together is.
But my question was also intended to look at, are you looking even further? Are you already reaching out to people completely outside your team? I mean, to get new ideas, or does it stay within your team, let's say, at least?
First, we could do it typically within the team. And when you have mapped out different use cases there, you could complement it, which we typically do, what we also discussed today, in interviews with experts, and say, hey, my idea, for instance, we would be here, let's take it, for instance, as motion tracking in diagnostics. So you could ask a question, who would benefit from it? Is it the people who suffered perhaps bone injuries and they need to pick up their health, and such a motion traction feedback would support the doctors to advise them, or the physiotherapists to advise the patient what to do better? Or would that be someone perhaps who suffered from stroke, that would have perhaps different motion related needs to get their health back? So the diagnostics here is a bit more of an umbrella, but when you discuss umbrella name, but when you discuss it within the team and you have a bit more clarity on the use case, you could reach out in the next stage to external people really and discuss it to find their feedback if there is really a need for it.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. So it could be a two-stage process. The next stage, once you have that beautiful map, because it will really illustrate the potential of your idea. So once you have that laid out in front of you, what you could do in the next stage, which is as important as having all these ideas laid out in front of you, is a little bit of prioritization. And we'll come in the next steps of my presentation to illustrate you why is it important, and based on what information you can actually do it. This laid out on the slide here illustrates few aspects of that prioritization, and for each of your ideas it could be slightly different. For instance, we have here a motivation, your internal team motivation as one of the factors. Strategy for how to bring this to the market would be perhaps yet another aspect of it, and maybe product readiness or idea readiness. But we also map in our analysis regularly aspects like a risk, problem solution fit as yet another aspect. So it could be different factors there. You can start simple just by mapping these three, like motivation, readiness, and strategy, and then build it on. The aim of your prioritization is to define at which stage your product and for which target group, in this case, some in specific industries, is your product best suited or most ready, or where would you, with your internal motivation, want to go? Because these factors really add to how you will succeed with this with these activities. And when you have, for instance, your internal motivation strongly taking you to one direction, you could really focus on that, because this is where your passion really beats strongest, and it will really support you, especially in hard times when you need to interview people or calculate some difficult numbers. So this will keep you going through. But of course, as important is also your strategy, how you will do it. And for this, of course, there could be some external support that you need to guide you there. But the prioritization would be something like a complementing step to really help you map where do you want to focus first. And important to focus is for you guys, and especially for my journey, was because main reason why still startups fail is the lack of focusing on the market need. Internal needs, team requirements is of course complementing these statistics, but focusing especially on you delivering something that market needs, that customers needs, is super important. And I know from academia, like we thought that people like us would want our products is just not enough. There really needs to be enough people suffering and wanting the solution that you want to create, so that you will be successful in creating startup. And even then, there is of course no guarantee, because life goes on, things happen, and a company is still or challenged with survival and making the product deliver the solution at the appropriate price, of course, and appropriate time. But this market focus, meaning market is the people that would want your product, is really important to consider. So keep it very close to your heart. Don't think that you've created something great, because it could be just something that you only think. It really needs to be validated by these customers that would really want to reach out and pay at the end of the day for your product. So question is, big question, where to start to find out this market perspective, and how to figure out on your prioritization map how to get to this study, basically, this analysis. We divide it in typically, and of course that follows up some logical steps. We divide it in 3 main questions that you would need to address. Firstly, you have an idea, the product that addresses some problem. So you would find out the answers to what is the problem solution fit, what are the jobs that your product, your idea would need to do for potential customer, so that the customer happily pays for it. And then you could ask, okay, is now the right time to deliver that product? Or am I too late? Or am I too early? All these aspects add to the potential success of entering the market. And then, is this market alive with growth and the new solutions coming in? Competitors are good, they stimulate one another to create good new solutions for the customers. So is there some activities there, or is just plateau and then good old same things happen? Nobody really cares about customers' needs anymore. Sometimes I think that when we think of Microsoft products, they just create stuff for themselves and we suffer with whatever they deliver us. So you can consider this aspect as well. And then a next question that we ask also is why you are the one to deliver this solution. So something related to risk between you, competitors, and how the dynamics of this interaction would affect you. And that, of course, will strongly translate to if you be successful entering the market or providing your solution to the customers. So these 3 questions we'll dive through, and then, of course, that will help you to fill in such a table. So if you have an opportunity to, once your mind map is completed, to create such a table to help you prioritize, to help you find out where your product could create an impact, it's great. It's a wonderful exercise. You can do it alone or with your teammates, and then find out where do you get the most arrows going up, and where perhaps arrow down would be like, nah, I don't want to do it right now. So it's really an exercise that would have meaningful output on your practical daily activities. So let's look at the first one, the problem solution fit. And here, of course, the very important is that you know your customers or people that you want to provide the product to want it. They need it because they are suffering. I really call it a pain. And this pain is so big that they'll find the money to pay you to get your product. And everything is built around it. And you can ask yourself how different your product needs to be. It's not only improvement of what there is, as we call it, the state of the art. It can't be just that its functionality is better. It really needs to address the pains of the customer, so that problems needs to be addressed specifically with your product. And if you have validated it with some tests with customers, it's great. You have their feedback and they will tell you exactly if it delivers to what they expect, because there is a massive clash between what we think as innovators, that our ideas are great, they will solve things that we only think from our perspective, and the reception of it at the other end. And that reception, giving someone to test your product at the earliest stages, to validate it, to make sure that the problems that they have are addressed, and the performance is right, that the price point is also okay for them to accept. This is something that you really need to do and step out of your comfort zone and get judged and get evaluated. It's not an easy process, but it's super critical for the next steps that you have to take in order to fit that product in a bigger market. So having this validations by first customers, early adopters is super important in order to move forward to fit it into a bigger audience. So there could be some key features of your product that you would really want to start with. And so here, what you have to do is have a clarity for specific feature. Who would be your customer for that? Is there someone specific that you have in mind that you can start with? Someone you know, someone perhaps who you're more familiar and comfortable with to get these first validations done, give them the product, fidget with it, poke it, and provoke you to think deeper about the solution quality. And at the end of the day, when you want to create a startup, I sometimes hear in workshops that, yeah, it's all business oriented and investors want only money out of you. You also want some money. Paying customer is the best thing that can happen to you as a, for instance, startup creator, because you need to keep up yourself, the company alive and running, and your perhaps team or personnel, pay taxes. It's all around evolving around the money. So having that scientific aspect when we don't talk about money, you need to change if you're delivering the product to customers and you expect them to pay. You really need to get comfortable to talk about money and think about money, because you're asking them at the end of the day to pay for your product. So your mindset needs to shift a little bit. Not your features of your product are important, or the key applications. At the end of the day, that customer needs to be so happy with it that they'll happily pay and pay the money you ask. So there is very important mindset shift that we need to do in order to take it successfully into the market, to the customer's hands. So to answer that question, you could look at the complementing the next stages of your mind map and of your prioritization to find out, with an example of this motion feedback system, the customer for this product, this idea, would be perhaps sport retailers, but it could be also some public or private institutions. In this case, we have some golf centers. Could be also many more. But if we focus on these two examples, you would already get the clarity based on your mind map that you have prepared, who to talk to, and find out, hey guys, I have this idea. Do you think it's interesting? Do you think it would solve some of your problems that you have? What benefits would it bring you beyond something that I thought? And have a conversation. Feedback like that, of course, sometimes will be critical. So get yourself ready for it, but accept it. Don't discuss it. And like we've heard from in one of the workshops from one of the big companies in Germany that sold to a Swedish giant, said, don't teach the customer how to use your product. The customer should let you know how they want the product to be used by them. And he said that was his biggest mistake when he started a company many years ago from Max Planck Institute. I was teaching them how to use it, and I had my ears closed to their feedback. And so don't make his mistake. Be open to that and try to actually shape the product so it will fit the customer's needs. And this conversation with these first target customers, these first users, will be invaluable for you to be able to do that. And you get this information and feedback for free, which is very important. Now, the next stage for you, once you have your application filled, the idea of who the first customer is to build a follow-up map to where to position yourself in so-called value chain. What we mean by that is, in the set of steps, think how many organizations would want your product and how many steps around it are there to position yourself in this chain of activities. When we take here as a very simple example an iron ore, someone would take the iron ore to create steel out of it, and then from this steel sheets that are used, for instance, by car producers. This is a very simple value chain that you can think of, and it can get more complex, or sometimes super complicated. On the example of this motion feedback system, the company could be providing components or developing some AI solution. To whom, you might ask? Okay, they could do it to some hardware producers, for instance, a company that creates some kind of sensors, but could be also providing their software to some software providers if the features match and or complementing. And so together, hardware or software could be a system that is then used by some kind of a sports goods manufacturer. And that sport good, it could be a shoe, it could be perhaps some active clothing, could be then used by sport clubs or medical related users in some rehabilitation facilities, for instance. At the end of the day, you have a user, so you have a customer who buys a shoe or who is maybe a patient post, for instance, bone fracture. Those are very, very far away. In this chain of events, you have multiple other, we call them stakeholders. So people, companies that would facilitate the journey of your product along this chain of events to the user. So all these people you can really create as a flow, like in this illustration, or as a map of people that you also need to get in contact with and have them also judge and evaluate the quality and the performance of your product, of your idea, to understand with their help if you're doing the right thing, if you understood the customer needs the right way. And they might be of great help, but they also might be, of course, considered in some aspects competitors. It could be both. But as we like to say in nanotechnology, there is always a lot of room on the bottom. So these people could be really someone to leverage you, to partner with you, to mentor you. But understanding how you fit with your product, your know-how, your expertise in this value chain is something very important that you, as an exercise, need to do practically. Luke, please.
Yes, so Silvia, if I understood correctly, when you look at this, at some point you could decide, okay, I will focus on being a software provider, but you could also decide, okay, I will become a sports good OEM and start to produce new sports goods, including the motion or what. So you
could.
You open plenty of opportunities, let's say, to position.
Absolutely.
This.
You can start really, and a lot of people like that start with a software, simple app or a software that delivers one qualitative aspect that complements something else. And you could really, if you have that enough momentum, money and knowledge, you could create some sports good with it, or you could team up with someone who creates sports goods. You, for instance, you work with Nike, and then you deliver sports quality performance for national German team to measure how they perform in the trainings to make their efficiency, the body, work much better. So there's plenty of opportunities indeed. And we even have one example from workshops that we did in the past here in Germany at Forschungszentrum Jülich, that the startup joined the program as postdocs to develop with a software piece that they had in mind to think, where can we use it? And they literally ended up in optimizing data analysis from tomographies of patients and helped to streamline the diagnostic streams for doctors. So it could end up in many very interesting ways. So having the mind map of various applications, understanding your value chain, asking the right questions, who is my customer, who is my partner, who else can help me take that product further, will definitely open up your ideas and let you see opportunities. So it's a beautiful journey, beautiful understanding that you're building here. That illustrated again on this motion feedback system could look like that. For instance, separate questions can be asked when it comes to problem solution and market fit when it comes to these sports original equipment manufacturers, as they're called, OEMs. Separate question could be asked on the problem solution fit when it comes to sports clubs. They want to, for instance, measure the performance of their players. And separate questions for the problem solution would be asked when it comes to addressing, for instance, these rehabilitation centers. For each one of them, your product would need to be, or in this case, the motion feedback system would need to perform slightly different. So in this decision-making process, in the prioritization with different factors, if it comes to your motivation or strategy or how easy it is to enter such market, you could say, okay, I'm perhaps focusing on sports clubs because, for instance, your motivation could be that, what we have laid out here, they have a lot of pain points on the map that you have created. And the more pain points they have, the more motivated they would be to look for a different, better solution to address them. You could also think sports clubs have simply a lot of money and they are really eager to get solutions fast. Different perhaps to academia, that if you apply or sell your product to academia, you know they need to apply for grants, they need to wait for grant approval, success rate is maybe 20 or 10%, so it takes a year and a half before you see the money on your account from the sale of your product. And if you sell, for instance, in this case, to a sports club, they will be much faster in paying for your solution and giving you fast feedback on how this product performs to make yet another version of your product faster. And then you have a budget for it because they already paid for some product that you delivered. So your job would be understanding this different pain points and market needs for different target groups to create such a map yet again, to have a clarity on how many pains they have and where do you want to go, where do you want to serve first. And so what you would end up with is the first aspect, the problem solution fit with arrows up, arrows in the middle, or arrows down. And then it's your job to decide in the next stages also, and we'll talk more about market again, where do you want to go with yourself, with your team, with your internal motivation and building your strategy. If you have arrow up, of course, this is a no-brainer. You would rather go there than where you have arrow down when the chances of fulfilling the criteria are very slim. But because these things can still change depending on your market understanding, on interviews with experts that we'll touch on, this is not, say, set in stone. This can still change over time. But that first step would already give you clarity of where potentially you would like to go in the next step of your innovative process. Market potential is a question that we'll dive in now, and to understand in the market, what we understand is typically how people pay for the products, similar products that you want to deliver, and what are the aspects, like some drivers, some trends. Say in case of vaccines, it was a pandemic that pushed a lot of developments. What are the external things that happen also that affect how people buy products in this specific domain. What you would end up with having, once you map the market potential, is again arrows up or arrows down, and that again will give you another layer of understanding how and which say feature of your product or target group would be your first choice to go after. That will be complemented by answering a question why you are the right people or right team or right person to do it. How does it translate to the competitors? We've touched on that. And how you could do this practically is, again, a little mind map on positioning the risks. Anything and everything can be a risk for you at this point. Market acceptance is a big barrier when it comes to your customers. People don't, for instance, depending on the product type, don't want to change their routines. They don't want to pay more, even sometimes less, because there is a lot of mental effort that they have to do. Competitors on the top of it, of course, or yet another aspect you have to consider why your product would be better for that customer to compare to what they already use, and why would they change to your product. And the positioning yourself is now the right time, or you have to wait 6 months or 12 months to be able to deliver something that will wow the customer is yet another thing. So in the case of this motion feedback system, as an example, we mapped it out like you see on this canvas, that we have for likelihoods from unlikely to expected risks, and then the effect, how much of an impact it will have on you from medium to high. And when you do such a mapping for yourself, you can take more features, more aspects, not only acceptance of your product or competitors or time to market, but also maybe an internal team requirements. You are lacking someone with expertise of so and so, and you would position that as well on such a map. So it will help you to understand what are the risks that you have to address, so that you will be able to transfer this knowledge into understanding where to take it again, yet to another layer of creating a map and prioritize your choices. And I would emphasize this is a wonderful exercise to do. In my startup journey, we did not do it. We somehow went intuitively, but we did not have such tools to do it properly and dissect a lot of aspects. So if you know your product has more than one use case, which they typically do, this exercise will give you a lot of empowerment to take very educated decisions and as good decisions as you can at that time point. So having this laid out in front of your eyes will give you a lot of clarity where your actions actually make sense or not. And this will be positioning you in this market-oriented activity where you will know why you are the right people and who perhaps do you need to strengthen your team to deliver that right product to the right customer group, and then what are the aspects of the market that you need to understand there. If it's dynamic market, if there is some barriers to deliver your product. For medical market, we all know that there is tons of barriers and regulations as an obstacle for new ideas to go through. So with these exercises, you will lay out this understanding in front of your eyes, so it will be much easier for you to take next steps. And when it comes to next steps, what you would also do to complement your understanding is dig deeper in two aspects. We call it the primary research and secondary research. Secondary research now with the use of AI tools that are not only recording us is amazing. I founded my startup in 2019. We were in 2-year process prior to that, and we had to figure out all our ideas from our heads. And of course, our proposals were not perfect. We tried our best. We got it successfully funded. Wonderful. But now with the leverage of tools, I use them not only just to think for me, but really refine my ideas. You can leverage your not only proposals for funding, but communication with anyone. Could be for your customer, could be your partner, could be your collaboration consortium company, that databases, anyone that you want to dig in, available on the internet, you can leverage yourself with. So having access and doing the secondary information gathering with AI tools is wonderful. So I'm really happy for all of us to have it at our fingertips. There you find out anything from industry reports, interviews from magazines, databases that are available to find out what experts have published around your product or similar products about that market that you want to address, those customers. And there, you take that know-how and confront it with we call it the primary, I call it from the horse's mouth, speaking with people, where you actually have conversations about the product, your idea, about if it's innovative, if it's good, if it's making the change, if it's solving the problems of people that would potentially pay for it. So primary research could be anywhere from, say, you do it as an ongoing exercise for market monitoring, or you do it at, say, a snapshot of what happens in the, for instance, month of March of 2025 in there. What do experts tell you? It might be looking completely different in 6 months from now, but at that snapshot, this is your understanding of how experts receive the information you shared with them, your ideas that you shared, your problem solution for your product idea. And there you will be, of course, evaluated. So you have to build your stamina and nerves to expose yourself like that. But I would say from my journey, we were very scared as scientists, not trained to do that. So we always went first to the people we know to get the, so to say, mild evaluation, but don't be shy and stay there too long. Really expose yourself to the opinions of strangers, and they will be sometimes very kind to you and give you the information that you never expected that will be invaluable to deliver the solution and create better solution from your innovation and from your ideas, research. So this is the whole complementing picture of how you can take your understanding even further. And when we speak about the secondary databases or secondary data collection, you can also leverage anything and anyone that has published anything. And what you would aim for to create is not only the Googles, but also this part in the middle, the use a search matrix. There, you could map also your competitors or similar products for some features and fill in the gaps. And often these gaps would be where your solution, your product would fit the best. If you know that competitor ABC is delivering a product XYZ, and you lay them out in such a matrix, you might find exactly where there's something missing and you jump in there. And that would be perhaps the best opportunity for you to use from the understanding. And of course, documenting your results in the proper way, sharing with the team is super important so that you have a flow of information and sharing information. And on the top of it, of course, you can use other tools to share the information you've collected, also with some experts. So for instance, you can translate the understanding of your market research information to some text. You can use text-to-speech tools nowadays to have little videos and put it on your LinkedIn website and gather information also like that from people. And of course, validate the information you found in reports with the latest that Perplexity can give you, with the ResearchGate information on the latest papers, with Google's patents to see what are the latest patents popping in. So we have a ton of tools to use nowadays to complement your understanding. What you would do with these two steps, so understanding them, who would pay for your product, if you were the right person to do it, to the right people that want it, and complementing this with the secondary data, what you would do with it is to get some numbers. And as you know, for now, for even scientific public applications for grants, you have to give some market volume, market sizing numbers. And typically it will look like some kind of a graph. So you take a year from A to Z, and you have some growth projections that will illustrate if this market is dynamic or not. Here, my one word of warning: you can take this data from market research reports with a grain of salt. Sorry, these reports are at least 2 or 3 years old, so you have to be mindful about it, because of course it takes analysts time to collect the information, publish it, and then release it. And typically it's perfectly fine. So you just have to know it, that it's an old data, so to say. And the extrapolations of what will happen in the future, it's based on the behavior of this particular market from the past. If there's some unpredicted events, say China regulates the prices for rare earth metals from 1 month to another, it will not be present in such projections. So you have to stay on the top of news anyway. But this is a basis of simple understanding of what happened in the past and how, if all goes well, it could look in the future. And these 10% and 20% projected growths, compound annual growths, also take it with a grain of salt, sorry, because if it's below inflation, that means this market is just not simply growing. So know your inflation rates across, say, Europe, for instance, or across the world on average, to understand if there is really actually something happening there or not. To finalize some insights for you as a team, for instance, to manage your data, always save the links to all the information you collect and have a nice either Excel file or Word file, whatever works for you best, to collect that information, because you will need to go back to it and we forget fast. And Bodut also says, I just saw your messages, that minimum viable product for starters, then adaptations. Absolutely. You could provide that to people early on and then collect their feedback, and in these agile and iterations, refine it. But don't be shy to provide them something that is, we call it half functioning. I know it was very difficult for my engineer to do it because he is always striving for perfectionism, but just let go of that. Give people something to test, and then they will give you the feedback if this is really worth pushing in that direction or you need to change your direction completely. Great. And Borut also mentioned you get the latest trends. You can't predict extraordinary events, actually, absolutely. But of course, you can prepare for some risks. And in one of the workshops, I discussed that on the BioNTech example, that BioNTech was developing mRNA-based vaccines for about 10 years before the pandemic hit us. So they were prepared for, just by the science that they've conducted, for fabricating these type of vaccines, but the research was still ongoing. But when the pandemic hit us, they had enough knowledge to say, change the risk from collapsing company to actually shift it towards pushing and funding and producing the vaccine based on mRNA. So you can play with that information to diminish your risks, to provide the survival in circumstances that sometimes are unpredictable. Yes. On that note, these slides you will get, of course, so you can dive deeper in them. But on that note, I just wanted to highlight the primary data again. because we have it laid out on this slide. The reports are also often providing just very, say, not you-specific information. What you have to complement and use the information from the discussions with experts or with your customers is to find the answer you're looking for. So on this example, we had a research on and a challenge to find out the market for battery electrodes in Europe. And we did find some reports, but they were on energy storage and in general just batteries. But we did not know what the battery electrodes specifically market is. And we could find it out only from the information from experts. And then we could recalculate the numbers from the reports and get the graph we were looking after. And with this report, you can also importantly use the information that is there on market size to actually do it. So that's why you really need the information from people directly, because they have the latest information, the latest numbers. They are really sitting and embedded in that market. So they will tell you kindly what there is so that you need to know. And where to get these people? Of course, there is a ton of possibilities now with social media, and we use them a lot. Of course, associations, if you belong somewhere, expert databases, if you get access to it. Journals, of course, this is something that we use daily. Conferences or fairs, big events where industry meets, or somewhere nice to be. But try, of course, not to get too scattered. Also because, say, for our journey as a startup, going to fairs is an expensive business. So we try to pick few that we knew will meet enough people to get engaged and meaningfully engaged, and not scattered, spend too much money, and then come back home exhausted and still not know what to do. So pick and choose in a very educated way. That's why the prioritization that you do beforehand with the mind map will give you that clarity. Where do you want to go? Who do you need to talk to get the information you need? And to support you, on the slide also you can dive deeper with your team. You would need to prepare yourself for these conversations. You can't just jump on people and be helter-skelter brain. You need to be able to ask clear questions, explain and introduce yourself in a clear way in about 3 sentences. So you need to practice and prepare for it. And such a, we call it a questionnaire, can be adapted and should be adapted depending who do you speak to, because you will have different objectives, different questions if you speak to academia colleagues, if academia colleagues that you do not know, an industry in different industries, across different industries that you would like to specific information from. So such a questionnaire can prepare you for a conversation, but at the end of the day, it should be still a conversation. So be open and listen and take good notes, but you have to solidly prepare and understand who do you speak to. And if you do it online, my only word of advice is manage your note-taking, however you do it, so that you're not focus only on the piece of paper in front of you, so people look at the top of your head. Have a conversation and make sure that you ask at the end, I've been making my notes, but if I settle my understanding, is it possible to call you again? Is it possible to have a follow-up, a conversation with you or maybe colleagues from the team? So keep that open so that you can, with your perhaps team members, refresh that conversation and ask yet another, perhaps deeper questions in the next stages. This is something very important to keep as your opportunity. Here you have some good guidance from our experience of how to do the interviews. Of course, these are just for you as a suggestion. My, again, practical word of support is don't despair if you bounce through secretaries, contact forms, and unavailability of people because of data protection. Just find some other solution to find them either on social media directly or some forums to get the experts you want to talk to. Because I know practically now it's very hard. Some companies don't even have a telephone number anymore. You're bouncing through contact forms, and it's really frustrating. So maybe in your network also, typically we're 6 people away from the person we need the information from. Leverage anyone you know, ask around, don't be shy, and say, hey, I need help. I need an expert from this field, and I have this question. Can you help me find someone to address it? So don't despair, but be creative in that way and be more open-minded also to be surprised by people. But what is very important is in case, especially for us as Atrino, when we do conduct these interviews, I don't lie, I don't impersonate anyone, and I don't promise that things I can't. And depending on how you can navigate that space, we would advise you also not to do it. But if you can, say, promise minimum viable product to be delivered and tested at some point, that would be great. There you have the freedom to be more engaging with people and hook them on your ideas. Few more things here laid out for you just to have an understanding. The conversation is always more valuable than just databases alone. No matter how much Gemini, Perplexity, and ChatGPT will give you, conversation is always more valuable than this. And it's a skill. Talking to people is a skill. So refine it, practice, and you will get better. And if, depending on the conversation, you can put some humor there, joke there, share your frustration that you want to refine this product and you need that information and you can't find it, play perhaps more needy person, rely on their support. It will evoke just human and nature and positive emotion a lot of times. So use it, don't be shy to exploit the advantages. Is there some questions now before I show you quickly the case study? Let me have a look.
Yeah, Sylvia, I would have a question. Because I know you work a lot with researchers. I think people, the audience has understood that we basically in your work you are dealing a lot not with startups or products or new ideas coming more or less directly out of research. What is your experience also building on what you've done experience yourself? Can researchers team go this way alone, or do they need the support like from the technology transfer office and from other, or is probably it's not the same answer for every team, but what is, let's say, your overall experience with that? Is it going smoothly for the research team to go through this process when you work with them?
I would say they certainly need the support of the organization, and technology transfer officers can be very useful here. They can support you with anything from connecting with the right lawyer to help you do the patent analysis and get freedom to operate, to networking you with industry. On the top of it, in case of my startup, we could really use the technology transfer team to help us practice our presentation. We applied for Helmholtz Enterprise funding because our research center belongs to Helmholtz Association in Germany. So we could get the in-house support and first re-evaluation of our idea from the paper to presentation, where they would say, you have to speak like that because jury wants this and this, or you have to refine your idea on slides, a bit more clarity for people that are not familiar with the topic, because we are technically always prone to be too geeky on our slides. So that was great first feedback and support there. And what we do now also practically with this market analysis for scientists, as technology transfer officer is there as your, I would say it, our guardian angel. They would, of course, reach out to us to order, let's say, market analysis, which would be just the first step in our journey with scientists. But when it comes to conversations with industry experts, I would, for instance, initiate that interview, have a first 2, maybe 3 conversations with that expert. But then I really need technology transfer officer on our side with the scientists to actually say safely that the industry partner or expert can ask this and this question safely if you don't have things patented yet, or that and that, say, licensing or servicing is possible for the scientist to execute, or contract research, for instance, in-house. So they would know a lot about internal workings, possibilities, strategies of the institution that support scientists, and also me as doing the analysis, so that we can communicate together in one message to the external experts like industry experts. So they're really, excuse me, facilitating that journey. And on the top of it, also because as a scientific team, in my case, and I see that across teams that I support as well, we don't have this business element in us at the beginning, especially. And I know one only team from Karlsruhe that managed that alone as a team of scientists throughout their business journey. But they had, in their case, big company Zeiss, the microscope producer, on their side from the beginning, because there were shareholders in their startup. Typically would also appreciate someone, could be a technology transfer officer or someone that is joining your team with the help of technology transfer office, with this business support strategy or business development or some kind of managerial experience, because they would help you to look at the things that you create from the business perspective, from the market orientation. They will help you to crunch the numbers for your business plan. And these are the skills that I at least lacked when we started our journey. So certainly, the internal help of technology transfer office could be the first scaffold, the framework that will help you to grow, and then you take the advantage of other partners beyond.
But it's still important for the team to go out and to discuss directly with the customer. So that's the basis. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Please just ask your question, Sylvia. We can take a few minutes for questions. We have a time challenge. I know you have prepared the case study. Can you run through it within 5 to 10 minutes? Or
yes, absolutely.
Okay.
5 minutes will be enough.
Okay, then that's fine. And then we still have a few minutes for questions before we move to Borit, I think. And I like also the methodological approach, which is, I think nobody needs to go to invent the whole process by itself every time. No. So if you have, frame we get back to the project where we are to provide better innovation support services. So it's another approach. But okay, so please go guide us through your case study in the next minutes. Yeah.
Super. Yeah, I will need this is for you to see how the complete study would look like. So I will not dive in nitty-gritty details. You will have the slides, you can digest them in peace. This is just to show you how when you start with your idea, you will understand that there is many aspects of things to analyze and understand to build the full study on your own. So the principles of it are exactly the same like we've seen in the framework. You will understand in the first stage what is your objective, what is your product, where would you position it. Then you would do the analysis of what happens with similar products in the market. What does the report tell you, released a few years ago, many other complementing reports in flanking markets. How does that then translate to your potential competitors or other companies? I like to always think about the other companies that deliver similar solutions. I think limiting them to competitors is putting us again in this tight mindset. A lot of companies collaborate, merge, acquire small company to join the big company. So having that just understood from the beginning that these are the other people existing there providing solutions could be similar to yours. It's just giving you a reference point, some kind of a benchmark, how their product functions and how can you be better. And then you comprise it together in some kind of a consolidation process where you will have the final recommendations, typically provided by us in some shape or form at the report, recommendations to you what would be the next steps to do. So you start with definition and segmentation of your market, as we call it. So it sounds a little bit abstract, but again, it's a mind map of potential use cases. In this case, we are using, as an example for you, electronic drug delivery systems. And as you see here, there could be a lot of keywords associated to it, which you could also think that there are words related to the applications. Which you have to do in the next stage, like in the framework example, you would map them. What are they? How can you group these electronic drug delivery systems? And they could be categorized in this case as infusion pumps, as auto injectors, pens, and inhalers. That gives you clarity of, so to say, categories of products in this market. What you have to understand also is that what is the differences between one group versus the other group, how they differ and how they stand out. What is next important step is for you, similar to the mind map of different applications, is to understand the segments of how this product, this electronic drug delivery system, could be segmented. And this gives you a massive mind map of opportunities. So what types of these systems are there? In which countries, geographically speaking, or continents in this case, where could they be located? Which companies are already there providing something like that, and what are the, in this case, the predispositions of the patients to use it for? What would be then the application, the use case? So you create a map of segments, specific segments, and how could they look like when you understand it in the, again, in some kind of a table, prioritization table. You would create, again, arrows up or down prioritization, where your market would be just one of your aspects to understand. How does this market in case of versus global versus Europe look like? What are the innovation opportunities for you there? And what do customers need? So a table format, again, illustrates it beautifully for you. The segmentation can be also laid out in this, let's say, more flat way, where you would have, in this case, this electronic drug delivery system divided by the type of the system, again, the indication, so why patients use it, which company provides it, and the region. And what you're striving to in this more flat layout is to map or highlight where would you be interested to find out more. And with this databases search, the analysis of what experts tell you, you will find out more information on how this market looks like, not just based on your first segmentation. And this is done in this analysis part. So you will find a lot of reports. You will find some kind of graphs to tell you how this electronic drug delivery type system by type is growing, if one type is growing more than the other. And that is then complemented by the regions, maybe in Europe and USA, the system grows more versus, say, Asia, but also within Europe, you could segment it to different countries, and that will give you understanding of how these dynamics in these countries look like. So that will be very juicy information for you in case you want to start with specific country. And then you would complement that information again with making sure that this understanding of products, one type of product versus other type of product, is not mixed in your head. In this case, it's a clear distinction between electronic and wearable infusion pumps versus just insulin pumps. And this wearable is here a key word. So you really help that understanding by having the keywords describing the product precisely. And that precision helps you then to communicate with the interview partners. And it could be anyone from science, from industry, analysts, venture capital. I will have also regular conversations with business angels and investors, because there are also specialists coming from research that ended up doing investment in early ideas, and they have very deep understanding what happens in the market. So don't be shy, reach out to plenty of different people, and together that collection of information will help you again to validate the numbers that you found in reports and maybe recalculate a few things to have the number you're looking after. And with in this case of these drug delivery systems, you could say the total electronic drug delivery systems is worth so much money, or there's so many transactions in that area. But if you look and narrow it down for more targeted market for wearable infusion pumps, it's a tiny bit smaller. And then in Europe, it is yet smaller. And then specifically for wearable insulin pumps, it is still a bit smaller. So you get your understanding from the big picture, what reports tell you, and narrow it down with every bit of information and interview to get the size of the market that you're after. And that segmentation you've done at the beginning will help you to position this solution, electronic wearable insulin pumps in this example, and get the number for it. And then this number can be used in conversations again, preparing your proposals, applying for funding, so you have something tangible there. And you complement it with the analysis. Typically, we also dive, of course, deeply in this into understanding what other companies are providing similar solutions, what products are they, why are they competitive compared to your idea, what is their recent development. So we do really bite deeply on that, and we can even lay it out on single slides for companies that, for instance, you're specifically interested in. And for my startup, we were specifically interested in 5 German companies, so we really also laid out slides like that for our understanding, to know how their products are different. And when you have numbers on, for instance, revenue mix that from reports give you geographical distribution, but you know how it looks like for specific country, there are still ways, complementing with the interviews, to get that number when you speak to enough people from that area, from that country, to get this exact number that you need, for instance, for your conversations for with investors or applying for funding, so that you get as specific as possible. And then what Borut will also mention, the SWOT analysis comes on top of it. So understanding your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats coming from the outside, complement that picture to have clarity on where you stand out and what makes you a little bit weaker. And then you have the clear understanding of the journey that you have to take and pick the best solutions or best options from the mapping. So that is it, the use case example. If you have some questions, I'm happy to see it in the chat. Borut, please.
Yeah, basically, I have to say that your presentation was kind of a very applicative, basically theory very well done in the real cases. And my question, since I'm more of a practical perspective, this motion system, since I have a complementarity product, perhaps one of the companies in Slovenia already, so I'm looking for potential, I would say, cooperation. And this is that we have one company that deals with the sports socks, which are specially designed, let's say, in the football. So I was just wondering what this actual motion system does, so I can interlink the stuff. Maybe we can do that in emailing, not here, but that was the first stuff. And then the second one, I could listen to you for a whole day, because it was very, I would say, smoothly presented. So you are living actually these things, and in a way we are actually doing stuff, and I learned a bit of the tools that we are still not using. But then again, I will show in my presentation that we are kind of using AI lately as a, I would say, brainstorm session, and also to speed up the process of verification ideas and readiness of the companies with that stuff. So I'm looking forward for the communication later on with that company.
Happy to. Absolutely. We're happy to hear that. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your very nice feedback as well. It's great. And whoever, because I don't see you all, guys, some of you have cameras off. If you're too shy to speak now, I absolutely understand it. Send us an email and we can set up separate calls to talk, even if it's 10-15-minute conversations that you need about something. We're here to help, and you already have details of Tor. My email address is very similar. The @trineo.com stays. It's just SSN at the beginning. So don't be shy. Reach out to us and we are happy to help.
Thank you for that, Sylvia. And I would also just remind the partners that those trainings are also, let's say, an input for, or possibly an input for our pilots. Because in the project we will have, we are currently under the wise direction of Borut setting up pilots for the final year of the project, and the pilots could build on the input from the training. So if there is a specific emphasis on the market research and so on, and Trineo is a project partner, that there are opportunities also within the project to dig deeper into that if we think that is the thing to do.
Actually, it is. It's just about how far we will go with sharing.
Like Sylvia suggested, of course, you can get directly in touch with Trineo. Trineo, the project is not the whole world. So this is perfect.
Yes. But if you have that opportunity under the project, it's great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Luke. Thank you, Borut.
I agree with Borut. We could listen to you a lot longer, but
thank you.
I don't know if you have the opportunity to stay with us. So thank you already now.
Yes, I will. I will.
Okay, great. And And Boris, then we can move directly to your approach. You are supporting companies, you are supporting startups also from a different approach. Atrineo is a private company working a lot with research organization. You are involved in the technology park. Please present your approach to market entry, market expansion. Thank you, Boris.
Okay, just let me know when you will see my presentation.
I can see it. It's still in working mode.
Yeah. Sure. Now?
Yes, it's good.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay. First of all, Sylvia just raised the letter for me for my presentation, and I have to say that a lot of this theoretical part that I wanted to do was actually also presented in several of the presentations prior to that with Jan. So I changed it, but if I knew that one of the Sylvia, I would do it again. So I will go for more, I would say, practical point, since the theory was well worked out, and also not that I'm not academic, but also from the perspective of our institution, which I have to say we are also LTD, GmbH, basically. So we are on the market, and our services are really important for us because we can somehow cover, at least in these international, transnational projects, or I would say co-financing part through services that we offer on the market. So it's very important for us to handle this very carefully. Now about the market entry and expansion. Basically, I will be, like I said, talking about some practical work that we do. So there are some few buzzwords I would like to firstly say, although they were mentioned a couple of times, then we know what the business is about, but just to repeat it. And then I will start with the P2P's client journey service that I would say that we do it already for 20 years, but maybe lately in 2 years or 1 year and something, we call it client journey, or although we were doing it for like I said, 20 years. So just the tools and the I would say knowledge and experiences have evolved from the starting point, and now we are just following similar developments in, let's say, partner institutions, and such trainings as this one are actually very good source for ourselves. So if not apply, at least to consider using it. So there are typical tools from I would say very educational stuff going on, like SWOT, PESTEL, LCA, and where I would like to talk about a bit with the different experiences that we have had with the companies that we handle. Let's say that in 22 years of, let's say, my presence in P2P, we handled over 250 companies from different aspects, from ideation till the, I would say, internationalization, in a way that actually companies did some joint ventures. And then there will be some takeaways. So buzzwords for the market or marketing nowadays. Minimum viable product was the first thing that came to my idea when listening to Sylvia, because pretty much a lot of the companies get stuck in developing the perfect product while the market is rapidly changing, and they get stuck there and they don't give it on the market to verify, and then in some cases the whole development goes in the wrong way. A lot of money and time is spent and they lose momentum. I have had also opportunity to meet with a guy that was actually ahead of time, not being late, but ahead with the bicycles with the batteries, with the electromotors. And I said, who will buy this stuff? It was like, I don't know how many years ago, even before these big retailers started to sell such bicycles. He did some joint venture with some Italian company for the bicycles and Italian batteries. So it's kind of a very demanding job for us, like handling like consultants or mentors for the companies. where you have to go through all these aspects, whether you are selling services or you are selling the tangible products. You have to somehow focus on things that maybe are not that common in your local environment. But for Slovenia itself, it's just a case that whenever you start the business, you have to be considering it international, because Slovenia is a small market. And unless you are handling something like a concession, or you have I would say a business like bread, which has I would say low margin, and there is some specific range to which distances you can sell it, unless again you have a product which is frozen and it can be delivered for more. But the point is that all these aspects are basically the starting point when a company or entrepreneur comes to us, and we have different programs with the startups or scale-ups. We also try to do business with the opposite side, I would say, partners like investors and corporates, which have a not necessarily diametrically opposite interests, but somehow we see the possibility of let's say, mutual benefiting for the both parties. So now, why do we do business at all? I took the Google, Chat GPT. So basically, everything is about fulfilling our needs and desires to exchange the goods that we are not capable of producing, but we are somehow efficient in some other things that others are not doing. So we basically satisfy these needs by exchanging the goods. We created also money for speed up this process, but the point is that we would like to improve the quality of living. So when we talk about I would say, macroeconomic things, then you can speak about the economic growth in certain region, jobs creating, incomes, also investments. But the point is that we would like to somehow assure that people can live, earn, support their families, and by that directly or indirectly contribute to society. Innovation is basically, I would say that innovation comes from the laziness, because people are tending to, let's say, invest less energy for more output, which is the efficiency and effectiveness at the same time. So it's strange. It's not that strange that basically the sports and the military industry are the biggest inventors, but sooner or later this somehow transfers down to this, I would say, not military use, but common use, and we all profit from that. So profit also is the category that everybody as an entrepreneur is looking for, and basically we create some kind of value for the business and also for the investors. And at the end, what I say, this is something not by ChatGPT, but by myself. The business is done by people, with people like partners, and for the people as customers. So from that point on, I think that whenever you start talking business, irrespectively if it's a local one or it's transnational, whatever, it's about the people. So without people, we don't have the market, and without the market, we don't have this necessity to produce something. Now, how we integrate all these principles of work with the companies. Like I said, we are using this client journey word for 2 years, but actually handling it for many years already. The approaches at the beginning might have been very, I would say, empathic or from the experiences before, at least from my side. I was in sales, first of all, tangible goods like menswear clothing, and later that was five years that I did, and then 3 years in the services of the tourism, of the wellness spa things. So I learned a bit of, let's say, talks, negotiations, listening, like Sylvia just said, that the very important stuff is not to be the smart ass, but then again, just to listen to the people, and by that you can already feel their pain, and it's much easier for you to do. So what we did with this B2 Green Hub, which is an ecosystemic thing, and there will be a tool online which is developing now, platform with multiple users, but the principles of the assistance to the companies will be handled through this ecosystemic support. So we invited several groups like companies in need, manufacturing mainly. Then we asked technology solution providers. Then we asked experts and RTOs with the demo labs or living labs stuff, laboratories. Then we decided also to incorporate in this ecosystemic support for the companies also the opportunity to find appropriate funding, public funding, aside of private ones, naturally. And at the end, like we are here, project partners to be facilitator. Why? Because this platform is basically somehow product of 7 different projects that are currently going on, and IaaS4DR is just one of the stories. So now to go to the when we talk about the companies that come to us for assistance, we start with usually checking their readiness for whatever it's, whether it's a digital or green transition, or is it market conquering or internationalization. We always start from within. So basically, we have to somehow be clear on what the company vision is, which mission they are following, which statements they would like to make on the market. And then we see where their product service is, and what's about the story, which pains they relieve. And we try to be kind of handling these companies with the long-term perspective. So we would like to be a trustworthy partner because our references are not projects as these, but these are just the means that we develop our services from point A to B, but the references of the companies who are satisfied with our work. Like I said, we are on the market. So then we go for this internal analysis. We see the resources that they have, which they might have accordingly, naturally, to the assessment that we do with more structured way. Definitely, the aspect of the finances basically emphasizes also which are the current, I would say, motives to go around, to go abroad, and which costs that somehow pulls aside, and then which are the just pragmatically logistics claims, whatever it is. We do definitely SWOT analysis to see. This is an obligatory stuff we do with the companies on different levels, and there are several iterations. So basically, it's not a fixed process that you just go once, but we steadily, as the things develop and the stages and this mutual work continue, we always do these rechecks. Naturally, for the bigger perspective, we do also pay attention to the PESTEL analysis, where there's the, I would say, kind of a wider range of things, which I will mention also later. We go through the very basic stuff with the let's say, people in charge to check also their, I would say, motives or their kind of experience or even capacity. So we have several tools which are available. Some of them we are now integrating in this services of B2 Green Hub. They will be available, and most probably they will be kind of a tool for the facilitators, for us as mentors, not directly for the companies, but they will get the results of working together with us on different with different tools. So like I said, this client journey starts with, sometimes they come with the idea, although it's not directly our, I would say, target market, but we would like to handle those that are already somehow established. But sometimes we do also this pre-stage, I would say, and try to lead them. We have kind of a, I would say, internally different programs that we are handling different target groups, but nevertheless the process, it's the same. Usually it starts with the phone calls, then with the communication, but the real thing just happens, which shows the seriousness, is the physical meeting. It can be either in their premises or in ours, but then it starts with, like I said before, where we start with the I would say, open talks about the wishes, I would say wishes or kind of a plans that they have. And then we start with the what's the actually you can handle directly and what are the things you cannot or you have a limited possibility. So we start with this internal, external environment analysis, also related to both analysis that I already stated before, like SWOT and PESTLE. PESTLE more for the external, and internal you can handle it both ways with the both tools. Like I said, for us, it's always this break-even point where they start considering to spread their businesses or to grow, and then we have to go through some processes of different, I would say, more exact data collection. So it's about the resources. Then at a certain point, like I said, there are different calculations when you go for the majority of the companies are actually not ready or not aware of all the, I would say it's not just building up the capacity by adding, if you double the quantities that you will have a double of people, double of everything, but it needs to be somehow this craftsman model should be somehow transitioned to industrial, I would say, internal or business model. And this is something that usually these entrepreneurs, I would say that not all of them are aware of, but they are eager to accept this assistance. So sometimes we have to have these external experts to help us out as well, because there are specifics in their services or mostly in their products. Target markets, it was already addressed very nicely by the topic of selection in Silvia's presentation, but we do the similar stuff. What I like about the tools with these arrows ups and downs, we do it, but not for all that stuff. Let's say I was kind of very keen to the idea of these risks that it has to be also considered. But from our perspective, different market requirements, we address them through PESTLE stuff, like with the technical, cultural. Since we are coming from the region which is more agriculture, beside the metal processing, so we have these different standards in the food industry that we have to consider. Unfortunately, we cannot do it alone because we are not that expert, but we have people that are our, I would say, partners, and they can handle this very nicely. And it's packed in the services of PTP, where it's different, I mean, delegated who does what. I will not go through these specifics. Like I said already, adaptations to the markets, because everybody starts from the point that their product is very well accepted at the domestic market. They saw that it could go somewhere else as well. They did some primary analysis of the specific areas where they would like to sell their product, but that's, I would say, kind of a thumb estimation. So there are tools. And usually when it comes to the market research, then we were part of the Euro monitoring, let's say, tools that they were available and stats that we used to that. But then again, it was a kind of a relationship with that company in licensing, which was too high for us. But nevertheless, these tools are good. But nowadays you can use these AI tools which browse for the open data, but like Silvia said, there are data of 3 or even more years old, so you have to somehow do the trends. And let's say you cannot predict the events like COVID or something like that, but for sure the trends are kind of a very good approximation of where you are going. And then naturally we do the pricing stuff. The tricky part is intellectual property. Especially in Europe, it's a problem with the software protection in comparison to the States. So a lot of them do patents in the States, which is a pity. But then again, I think that majority of the clients we handle are less of a IPR oriented as a using it as a leverage because they are mostly in products and services. Okay, what we do, where are the, I would say, points we do debate with them. It's about the things that might not be so important in local markets, but then again, it's about some stuff that it depends on the market. Usually it's a neighboring market or the EU market. And now, like I said, there is no more like domestic market because the market is open. So the goods, free movement of the goods is actually one thing that in Europe works. And there are less of the customs requirements, stuff like that. It's just about the certification of the product. But what we do usually, it's basically that we start with the product is this NACE, this tariffs in which the product fits. So then we can check for specific markets requirements, whether there are some limitations or whatever. Then we talk about the costs of insurance, which is for the beginners very important. Then strategies are the part that we go very meticulously through with the companies going for these reasons, or the analysis, whether they would like to conquer the market or to have the feeling and earn more or to conquer the market share. Different motives are actually behind, but then again, usually these, I would say, Slovenian companies are of by size. They are small or mid-size serious production. So for them, this is maybe a very, I would say, specific situation. Majority of them go for the niche markets, which is very difficult. It's not stuff that everybody could be part of. But then again, if they succeed, then their business models are growing rapidly. Then we have like laws and standards that we go through, the tariffs, the insurance stuff. But then the most important thing about the export or export, it's basically internationalization. It's about the 4 different types of this market entry. And usually they use the job of the consultant, not necessarily our role, but also the consultant in the field. So the person that has real hands-on on the situation on the market. So we used to do that through the EEN network, where we are partnering, and we use like different experts from the chambers in various countries, let's say, to help us finding the specific agents, let's say, to handle it, or just general consultations through these partners. So what we are looking for here in this particular project is also to widen our network of expertise through you, to help us to let's say, promote our companies to reach for your services, for your laboratory equipment, which is not available here. So basically, we are growing our mutual cooperation and somehow growing our capacity to help the companies. So for us, this project is one of these things. I will not go through these details because they are already known and mentioned several times. And like Silvia said, there are different sources where you were to go. And nowadays with the AI tools, basically they help us to collect, filter, and group the most interesting things. On the other side, usually when we do have a company, we check for the specifics in the sector, because there are different associations or I would say groups, industrial groups that are, let's say, having real good information and experiences in specific markets, since they already done that. And we go for that. We are not limited to our skills only. Very important thing to check is basically the market practices, or not only legislation, but practices, especially when you have the goods which needs to be somehow serviced as a post-sale services, which are the guarantees and other claims that might occur. Lately, we are facing the stuff that it was before that in America, where all the products needed to have these fat books with the instructions, like in case of, I don't know, caravanning car, that while you are driving, you cannot go back and cook the coffee. So stuff like that, it's also getting present in European markets. And this is very important segment that we would like to emphasize while doing the talks. But there are some practices, general practices, and usually when you go talk to these consultants in the market, specific market, they will come up with the assistance regarding this. Now, since we somehow did the market requirements, then we have to decide. Okay, there is still the competitors. You have these real competitors. Then you have the surrogates, and we pay attention also to the competitors which could do the dumping in case the product of our company is perhaps most advanced, and then it doesn't mean that it's a real existing market has the real competitor, but with some pricing stuff and not being familiar with your client's products, then market might react to such not distortions, but the tactics of the competition, and also some of the lower or inferior quality products, they could do the same. We try to analyze, done by Silvia for these 5 bigger companies. We do try to find or define the potential competition. Usually the companies itself already has some knowledge because they did the testings, they go for the market or to the fairs to see on the markets they would like to go. So there is already some kind of information on that too. Selecting countries was done perfectly by Silvia. It's always about the market size and potential. Then again, if you are a niche market, then there is a slightly different approach, slightly, I would say, more demanding, but nevertheless, if it's well done, then the company has the, I would say, kind of a advantage to the existing competition. We emphasize also cultural and social compatibility. For example, Ford Kuga in Slovenia was not well accepted because Kuga means plague. So sometimes these cultural or lingual or whatever things you have to consider before you are selling your product to some specific market. So sometimes these global names are not appropriate, let's say, for specific markets. So that it's already done by some car producing companies that are considering this as a relevant, but in some cases still it goes by because there are some small countries like Slovenia, for example, and they don't matter in that sense. So it's a insignificant market for the companies to change the name. Like I said, geographical proximity, the most important stuff, how much of the distance your product can handle, still to be competitive. Somehow we already addressed these PESTL things through these cultural standards, experiences, economic way and stuff. I will not go in detail. Now we are coming to the point where if you have a startup company or you have already a scale-up company, usually scale-ups are more, I would say, ripe or ready to go. So basically on the, I would say, life cycle of the company or their businesses, you are deciding between different market entry strategy because you have more of a volume or capacity that you can do it. There are, like I said, motives which are growth, the diversification. You feel like you have a competitive advantage. So, or leveraging resources for your own businesses. So you would like to have better utilization of your resources or technology experiences. Together with the partners, you can handle the market better, even on domestic market, not only on the foreign market. So there are motives different, but when you have this analysis and the capacity of the company, it's very easy to decide which strategy you would like to have. So there are 4, I would say, basic things. One is direct export or indirect through the agent. That's the first or the most easiest way for the companies to do the business. Then the second one is licensing or franchising, which is a very good stuff since you have this, I would say, kind of a business model where you are spreading quickly. You handle it through the local usually you already established actors, but then again, you offer them something that it's standardized. Maybe for them it could be a tricky part if they don't analyze the market well, or your brand is not recognized there. But still, there are some benefits for both parties because it gives some assurance of the quality or experience knowing the market. So it's a kind of a shortcut for the company that goes abroad. Then more demanding or more that you need a trust or stuff like how to present yourself basically to the joint venture partners. We do the same pitching stuff. We do the trainings of the companies, how to handle, how to present themselves on the markets, not only for the investors or partners, but also on the market. So there we have a lot of companies that are actually handling the marketing strategies as well as a, I would say, upgrade of our services. And then the highest direct investment, which is in my time of 22 years, I don't think that anybody did that direct investment. But there was vice versa, that the German companies did the stuff here in Pomorje region. And then again, we come to the consultant job, usually on the field. And these are the key essence of I would say, success. We use different, like I said, networks like EN. We use similar partnerships like this one in IaaS4DR. So basically, it's about who of the partners have specific access to the market, to the RTOs, to the specifics of the market, just to help us, even to host meetings sometimes. So this is one of the services that I mentioned. It's like soft landing, which is that we share kind of a joint capacity of our premises for potential companies that would like to, let's say, come to Slovenia or ours to go abroad. And not to talk about that too much, I would go rather to the use cases. The same stuff. We got one guy that actually won 2 Kickstarter stories already, and for the third time he came to us with the idea of some kind of a massage robot prototype, and there was like some technical stuff that he already did. But then again, it was like to go through this, let's say, technology to verify with some testings about the safety and accurateness. Yeah. But the point was that we needed to see what was his idea basically, and he was looking for this market of the wellness in Austria. So we were focusing on the Austrian market of the similar, I would say, offer, both of the massage prototypes, or I mean robots, and also on the other side, the users, which were wellness spas, private treatments, whatever. And then there was like invitation, basically, that we helped him to somehow pitch his idea. And there was a call through EN for looking for an Austrian partner, and then it really worked well because there were several contacts, and they decided for one. We were like kind of a intermediate in that one. And while meeting with the company, they expressed their interest in entering in this as a partner. They actually became the majority stakeholder. And from that point, basically, from this development, they decided also to diversify these experiences in this particular model from electromotors to the actuators. So the different technology for the different markets, but everything started with the massage robot with the electric motors, and it was a very successful story since the Austrians then at the end bought the company, which for the both I would say founders was the idea either to cooperate on big scale or just to sell the company, and they did. So it's also a way of doing business because they are now in another idea of doing a new company. Then there was a guy, also kind of an inventor, which made this kind of a boat, which is for the still water occasions, so the lakes, stuff like that, where that's not too much of the waves coming through, by. And he already defined himself that he would like to go for the German-speaking markets. So what we did was basically the analysis of the market. We went for the competition, all the different sources. So he got a study, market research study, on these, I would say, competitors. What we did additionally was through the national funded systems CEO, we enabled him to visit the transnational fairs, where among the, let's say, activities or services that we offered to him was actually to get contacts for the direct talks. So there were like meetings organized. There was a media kind of a support for him. So basically, it was a complete package that we have offered, and that's kind of our business that we are offering to the companies. Doing the analysis, doing the, I would say, kind of pitching for them, and then bringing them to the markets and to organize meetings. And in our new business model development, we are kind of thinking over so-called venture studio, which means that aside of helping them like that, PTP would have the ability to enter the ownership or the share of the company that we would like to promote. So basically, it's a kind of a upgrade of trustworthiness of why we believe in the idea of the company. So if we enter with our money, then it's for sure something that we believe in, and we will really do our best to help this company to succeed. So this venture studio is another service that we are developing currently in this system of ours, but it was learned from these cases. Then another one, it was the study that we did for Ghana Royal Water. Basically, it's a mineral water with a lot of calcium, but less of the natrium. And what we did was basically the study, direct market study for the England, because the guy wanted to sell in England. And what we did was actually, there was a fair, and through the Chamber of Commerce, we managed in what was the town? I don't know exactly, but there was a partner from England where we said we would like to have this company presented there, and what would be the best way. And we arranged for everything, basically, from the pitching, from the public, for the PR materials. We handled it through this chamber. Again, it was co-financed through this CEO national scheme. The guy went to this fair, and then again, we get back to the point where I said that the business is done by people, for the people, with the people. And this guy basically met the Jordan Queen over there, and through that, I would say, personal contact, because sometimes you have to have this ability of, I would say, I don't know, it's EQ or, yeah, EQ, that he connected well. And from there on, basically, he got to be official supplier of the Cannes Festival with the mineral water. He got invitation to Dubai. Basically, it was sometimes you, aside of the knowledge and skills, you need sometimes a bit of luck as well. But if you are just to in some office, you cannot have this ability or chances to somehow get the opportunity to spread your business like that. Next one was a company that produces different external, I would say, kitchen equipment. So there are like you have these how is it called in garden, those kitchen elements. They do also with the waste bins, depots, stuff like that, but everything is basically of the high quality steel. So it's stainless steel. And there was a specific inquiry for them to go to the, let's say, market with the higher purchasing power, like Scandinavian countries, and they did that. We did the study, and the point was that there you need basically a very quality steel due to the environmental issue. I mean conditions, and somehow the whole started with these networks of the chambers of commerce, which somehow said, okay, the study shows that there would be interest, but you have to offer something else. And due to the differences in market perception, they said we would like to have something special, which is a configurator tool where you can do the measuring and exact calculations of the price. So that was I would say, kind of a market booster for them. So aside of going to the market, to those fairs, what they did basically, they needed to develop this configuration tool, which again was supported through this national scheme. And this is how we are trying to basically supply both demand and offer, and also to have this public funded as a catalyst of things to happen much quicker. So if I go back and say what to consider aside of these theoretical stuff that it's already repeating itself for several stuff, we might not be so structured as the presentation of Silvia, but in the background we do the similar stuff, and like I said, we would like to learn about some tools that I saw there. But the point is that you have to research, understand the culture, demand, competition, regulations. To choose the right market nowadays, it's kind of, I would say, easier because there are like European market, which it's completed by several countries, but then the standardization and customization is the same. So there might be specifics like in colors or the naming, but in general principles, with that, you already gain some advantage not to be in need to verify each time different markets. You have to protect your business. So there are different practices, and we have to take care of that. Strategies, like I said, it's for the people, with the people, by the people. So local partnerships are very essentials. Experts like consultants or partners like distribution or logistics or whoever. It can be also a research partner, let's say, that helps you to develop some things, because that's also a possibility of going international. We naturally emphasize the importance of the adaptations to the markets, not only by name or by color, but also sometimes by the way of using, because there are some cultural differences. And like said by Silvia, there are some analysis data that is gathered lately with these tools. It's possible to be very quick in time, not to wait or base your business on 3 years old reports. So that's also a benefit for the, I would say, companies that are willing to go for the foreign markets to see these data very quickly. And the last thing might be that we encourage the companies, we emphasize the planning and whether they have the resources for, I would say, execution. So there is a lot of checking on human resources, capabilities. Whether then they're lacking on that, we try to provide those missing parts. Basically, that you have to listen to the market and somehow learn and adapt to it. And for that reason, basically, we do these market assessments iteratively. So we are just not letting them to do one thing and then nothing changes. So we try to, like I said, we work with them on the long term. We try to follow up what they do. It's not that it would be kind of our obligation, but because we would like to work with the companies where we see the potential of their growth, and also that we both mutually help each other and learn. So that's the reference that we would like to emphasize in doing business with the companies. What I would like to hear from others is basically how you address them, because the Slovenian market is a small one, but the practices are different. So sometimes it's about the public funding money that they would like to have only. But then again, how you address or connect with the companies, that would be something also aside of the tool that we saw. So I finished with that. It was less, I would say, theoretical, but more like of the experiences that we have. And yeah, you are free to ask things. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. So please all feel free to raise your hand, ask questions. Maybe I have a first one for you, Bert. You mentioned that you're also on the market. So can I understand correctly that basically you are selling this accompaniment, this service for internationalization, or do you have other ways to provide it? Is it how is it working practically on this aspect?
Okay, it's a funny thing, basically. We are owned by 3 municipalities, which are 100% public, but our company is LTD. So we are kind of a LTD with a public ownership, but anyway, we are registered as a private entity. So we don't get any money from our owners. Basically, if something goes wrong, we bankrupt, they just make like that and nobody gives a damn. So yeah, we are on the market. We have like premises that we are like renting, but these are only 6% of our revenues or incomes. So the rest is basically partly market services that we offer. I'd say that's around 10 to 15%. We would like to increase that part, because with the projects like this one, where you have funded only, I don't know, 80%, 75%. So you always have to contribute. Nowadays, with the flat rates, perhaps you can a bit cover it, but if you have real costs, then you cannot fool around with that. So for us, it's very important that we learn about the services we can offer. So these trainings, these projects, like I said, are just vehicle for us to learn about the good practices, try to implement them in our, naturally with adaptation to our ecosystem. Also, what we would like to do, or we use these projects, Interx, as a kind of a research of good practices and use cases. And for me, the business model here is that we present them to the policy level stakeholders. Why? We would like to say, we tested it. It's a good practice from, I don't know, Germany. We saw it works. Why don't we offer that to our SMEs here? So what we are looking for is basically to have a national scheme of funding of such cases. And then again, we can be assisting the companies for the money to get these public funds for their services. So that's our business model. And this platform that I mentioned, B2 Green Hub, it's basically kind of evolving in that. But during the, I would say, these projects, services are for free. That's the obligation you have towards the
probably if I refer back to the first training, you remember, I think you were quite interested in the presentation of BVCon.
Yeah,
it's similar approach. There are public grants or vouchers, programs or whatever to activate consultants, and you can provide support to companies. So this is one way in the framework of a public program. You can be a service provider which is paid either directly or indirectly by the funding program. Yeah,
it was an interesting story, since you mentioned just now that, like I said, there will be a section on the funds available, public funds. It can be European projects, tendering, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then again, in another project that I did with the Karlsruhe Institute of Technologies, they said that their labs have the possibility to provide funding for research projects which are in their interest as well. Our company should bring just the challenges, and they will consider it whether it fits their purposes or not.
Yeah.
So our companies gets the research, they get the, I don't know, these credit points for the research, but their work there is financed through the German funded scheme. So I said that's a lottery win for us. Basically, it's a mutual stuff. The German researchers have the ability to really work with the something that it's interesting for them. Our company gets tested things that they would like to have. So it's a win-win situation, basically. So that's the idea. I know it's kind of a crazy that why would, let's say, German public money be spent on Slovenian company, for example. But the point is that the results are mutual of the company and of the researchers in Germany. So it stays there. It's just about the IPR stuff.
Should be in Germany in some way, whatever the way you measure the benefit there, but there should be the okay. But basically, you confirm that it's around building those ecosystems with the public side, because it's very difficult for technology park probably to sell directly these kind of services to company. That would probably be the exception.
We are actually in a position that like pretty much of you, I know there are different types. You are chambers, you are universities, but for us, it's really very essential that we have services that are sellable, that somebody wants and is willing to pay. What we use basically as a leverage is these public funding, because we are familiar with the tenders. We have the capability to help them writing the applications, helping them out with the implementation, stuff like that. So that's one part. But currently, we have so many different projects that it's difficult for us to focus only on the company. So at a certain point, we'll have to decide how much of the capacity will be for the projects like this one, and how much will be more, I would say, oriented towards the business. But the problem with the business is that they usually don't like to pay. They would like to have a service. They said, you are public. No, we are not. But you are, in this ecosystemic support. So yeah, that we are.
It's difficult to understand that you're not public in this sense.
No, but lately we do have this understanding. They differentiate with what it's basically public and private, and they don't mind. It's just about that they get progress, that they win the market, they do the product development stuff, that somebody is helping them with things that, when you are in the box, you need somebody to brainstorm you from the outside. And like I said, these exchanges of information are actually things that I'm like a sponge, just collect all the stuff. Not everything will be passing through the decision making in our technology park, but nevertheless, there are some tools or experiences that we are integrating in our services. So that's the biggest value of such projects.
Okay, thank you, Boris. I'm just no other questions. Nobody raised their hand, but you can still. Anyway, you will meet Boris at the next meeting probably, so we can go on with this discussion. Include internationalization aspects also in the pilots. Obviously, we have some idea going that direction, especially related to acceleration services. So where that would make sense also. In this case, Boris, I said thank you for today, for the preparation, and for the insight into your daily work. Let's say more at PTP, which is very useful.
Everybody did the theory before me, so I was like
that was
running out of material.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. We wanted to have use cases, and I'm now turning to another partner, which is not so far away from you, Boris. It's PBN. The partner hosted our latest meeting, and hopefully Martin is there with us, because they also wanted to provide us with use cases on how they work on market research, market entry, market development from the perspective of innovation support provider also. with a slightly different organization than PTP, but still.
Hello.
Yeah, Martin.
Are you here, Martin?
Thank
Hello,
you
my
very
name
much
is Martin.
the introduction, Luc. And I would like to give the floor to Martin, who will be talking about industrial cases in which he was very much involved as an R&D engineer in our institution. So, Martin, please, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, Martin. Please.
Hello and welcome. My name is Martin Magyarfalvi. I'm from the PBN from Hungary, and I'm working in a EAM lab as a division in PBN. And I would like to share my screen to get my presentation.
Should be okay. I think you are allowed to share normally. Go on.
Just a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can
Maybe
see
you can see. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Seems to work.
I would like to focus on the process and development processes, more like the previous presentation, focusing on a financial approach. Instead of that, I would approach this kind of topic in mostly in engineered way, and focusing on the processes and the benefits of the technologies, applications, and I would like also show you some use cases. So I would like to talking about the prototyping and general product development and its parts like mesh shaping, pre-visualizations, rapid prototyping, and further applications. So, you know what is prototyping. I wouldn't like to talk so detailed because it's touching the financial side. We can heard earlier. It is a very important content or a phase of any kind of product development, you know. In this side, you can see the general overview of any kind of product development. Every development starts with an idea, you know. After then, there are many very detailed phases and steps to get the RTM phase of the development. RTM means ready to manufacture. It's a final phase before the market involving or starting on the target market area. I would like to talk about the ideas and structure of any kind of product development, like function criteria and aesthetics criteria system according to required standards and any other important things. For example, the mesh shaping. The mesh shaping is the upcoming phase after the start of a product development. If you have an idea to develop something, you need to clear and highlight the imagination in a visual form what you would like to develop. The mesh shaping is a draft version of visualization of any kind of product development. Also, it belongs to geometrical and safety and other criteria what follows the whole development process. I mean, function structure, which is detailing the product features in ranked version rated by the importance of each function of the further product. So it's typically a draft version of the visual of any kind of development. After this mesh shaping, including the mesh shaping, it also means pre-visualization, as I mentioned. And we are using very high-end softwares for that. There are many on the market, but we are focused on Cinema 4D, which is a very intuitive and a very good solution for that. May you heard any other kind of softwares that can be able to visualize also any product or 3D shape, especially from the mechanical world, the mechanical aspects. You may heard the CAD softwares, CAD softwares like AutoCAD and Solid Edge and Inventor and the others. But in this phase of the development, those softwares are not the best, because to create something in CAD environment, you must define the shape by following the mechanical rules. And it's not a free-form software environment, I mean the CAD softwares. That's why we are using a very different kind. It's a shell modeling software environment. And as I mentioned, it's very useful, dynamic, and easy to use compared to the CAD software. So much faster to pre-visualize anything in this environment. And it can be also make good-looking pre-visualizations in the conceptual phase of any development. So it is very important because of the costs and resources on a development process. After the pre-visualization, of course, I step back. Of course, you need to validate it. You need to apply this with the customer or the partner, and afterwards, the next main step of the development is the prototyping. What is a complex one and very important. And in AM Lab, we can be able to use rapid prototyping kind of method. We are using 3D printers, mostly FDM, SLA, and DLP printers for that, because of the cost efficiency and time consuming compared to the traditional prototyping way. Let me explain our machines or 3D printers. We have also UV laser based SLA printers, which are very, very precise. I mean, plus minus 0.1 millimeter, what is much more than enough to prototyping phase of any development. And also a newest technology of machines like DLP. It is very fast and very precise method of 3D printing, 3 or 4 times faster than the previous SLA technology. And the structure of the material is very comparable to the molded polymers, to the traditional polymers. And we can also simulate the behavior of different kind of materials like polypropylene, silicone, and rubber, and different polymers. And it will give us a result to be able to testing the rapid 3D printed prototype and check it out and validate in-house with this kind of technology. And of course, nearby the time consuming and the benefits I mentioned, it has the huge benefits to be able to use it directly into the traditional technologies, transformed into the traditional technologies. For example, on the sample picture, you can see our previews. Few years ago, there was a project by a customer that is a logo design and an emblem for a luxury brand, like a startup brand. And we made this logo design in 3D software, and we printed out the prototypes, and we used a very special kind of resin for this 3D printer. It is a special castable resin that we used, and it is able to use it directly into the dental traditional method to molding the metal final product as a prototype in one piece. So doesn't require any tooling or any other given and additional costs and very expensive traditional solutions. So it is very cost efficient. I would like to emphasize that, because just for the imagination, you can imagine a mass produced molding part needs tooling, needs human resources, and also time for preparing the mass production. It exactly means for this kind of product in the traditional market, there is typically 8 to 10 weeks to prepare for the production. And compared to that traditional way, in our rapid 3D technologies, it is soluble and it can be realized within 2 days. So you can compare 2 days to 10 weeks. What is a huge benefits of these rapid technologies, what we are using for development. Okay. I would also like show you some other experiment what we did in the past. For example, it is an arm fracture solution. It is an R&D project, was started by us and cooperated with the local hospital also. And we used it 3D scanner to digitalize the lower arm. You can see the picture. After that, we started to make handmade graphics and drawings to find a best or a good solution to be better than the traditional fixation of the arm in case of fracture, lower arm fracture, what can be washed, and it is much more comfortable to the traditional fixation, and absolutely lightweight and fully unique, personalizable to the actual customer or patients. Okay, for that we also used the same 3D environment as I mentioned. because of its flexibility. It was a very special R&D project by us because, as you see on the picture, this kind of geometry has only organic forms, and there is no standard mechanical dimensions that can be prepared in a traditional CAD software. It requires much more dynamic and flexible environment to create some kind of organic design, like a human lower arm. And our Cinema 4D is a best choice for establishing those kind of complex geometries. And based on the 3D scanned lower arm, but is very precise regenerated body of digital body of a human lower arm. Onto that we can created this kind of organic geometry and adjusted in the software environment to verify its comfortability and usability. And you can see the raw editorial view of this object. And there are many manipulation tools in this software which grants us and which provide us to fit this further product as much comfortable as possible for any user. So it can be adjusted to a different size of lower arm easily, and after that we can also rapidly product it or realize it via 3D technologies. On these pictures you see we used different printer technologies for that, and in a real case it can be made or produced in less than 8 hours from the scanning of the body. So it is well prepared and dynamically prepared to personalize it further. So in real case, you can imagine there is a customer who broke the lower arm, and after a 3D scanning, there is less than 8 hours to get this comfortable and lightweight, washable, reusable exoskeleton-like lower arm fixation solution. For the other, I would also show you a different product what we did or what we developed. It was a absolutely market-based project. It is a unique inhalation mask, and it was created 1 year before COVID. So our partner was a startup company who reached us and tell us the idea what he would like to do and what he would like to realize. And we we were very open-minded to work together on this exciting project. And I would like to highlight briefly this kind of method what we did and what we realized through the project. So we negotiated our partner's imagination, and we realized the idea and what he required to reach what he imagined. And we started also this kind of project with handmade drawings to find the common way with the partner to to visualize the imagination, and it is a reusable mask that can be put on a standard aerosol can on the top of it. And after the handmade drawings, of course, we applied it, and after that we made CAD models, so prepared mechanically perfectly fit into the criteria system what we created before. So the absolutely corresponding and correctly follows the flexibility and the other geometrical and kinematics and other requirements what we established. And you can see the CAD models visualization on the pictures. After that, we made some short assembly video of it. It comes from different parts. It is a, may I play it again? So you can see it, it builds up from different spare parts. One of these is the bottom of this mask solution, which is pre-built onto the standard aerosol can. And onto that, you can use and change this upper parts of the mask. You can slide in from this way, you see. And onto that mask, you can see a silicone part. It's like a pillow to be more comfortable on the face. For the realizing and prototyping, we also used the SLA technology, which is very precise and good reconstruction of the further mass production's behavior. As I mentioned before, we are able to simulate and make the same materials behavior like the mass-produced polymers, the ABS and the polypropylene and polyamide or any kind of material what we can simulate and represent via rapid prototyping. And we used it a very special kind of material like our tough resin. It's very exactly the same physical parameters like the polypropylene, which is used for the further mass production of this product. And also you can see different materials what we are used. Elastic resin for the silicone behaviors representing and testing and absolutely functional quality. You can see this kind of silicone part what we are designed and produced in 3D prototyping. And just for highlighting and remember that this kind of 3D technology in application of in a good way, it can be the dramatically huge benefit. You can see the result, what is very precise geometrically and gives the result exactly the same behavior of the traditional silicone, but instead of weeks, it means hours. So it absolutely can be seen in the cost of the development processes, like a multinational company approach a development process in a traditional way, like tooling, A tool, B tool, C tool, you know, the traditional industry. And this kind of technology is absolutely available for SMEs and means huge benefits in time and also in financial side. So after this rapid prototyping, there are typically many iterations and changes and refining the further product to get the final result. So it coming the technical preparation of little modifications, refinements, shape adjusting, and other to be much more precise and much more like the original imagination. And also in the whole development, we are pay attention to follow or the technical preparation for the final injection molding. What means, the mass production of this product. And after get the geometrically ready and final form of this product and final prototype, we also able to make tests and validations in-house with the functional prototypes. And after applying it and validating it, we are contacted an external expert, a company who makes the tooling for the mass production, and we cooperated them also to provide to our customer or partner a complex solution in a package, like a product development with a prototyping solution and with mass production preparation also. So that was one of our early experiment. And I would like to briefly highlight another product development by us. It is a reusable cap, would be. The project structure is similar like previous, and the product can be different, but the main project structure builds up similar because it's a typical industrial steps what needs to be followed to the according to standards and rules of the designing processes. So just highlighting the project, our partner reached us to cooperate, and he had an idea to realize a special cap. You can imagine it's a standard aluminum can, and onto that we can put this kind of silicone reusable cap, what is antibacterial. So this antibacterial solution you can imagine like so the material includes the antibacterial feature because of added silver ionic particles, and it is also laboratorically validated by a laboratory, and it works, and it is able to make antibacterial effect on the surface. For that we need to make some measures and information collecting and study about these cans and what you can find on the market, the standard aluminum cans, because there are many differences between brands like Coca-Cola and the others. For example, Red Bull can and other energy liquids are a bit different. So we made many measurement and study and analysis of the available aluminum cans. And of course, for the measuring, we using the CAD software. You may heard SolidWorks, but for the dynamic shaping and planning and preparing, we using Cinema 4D, as I mentioned before. And after the common imagination of the idea, we refined it and we made the early design of it in CAD softwares. And you can see some details on the picture about the CAD model. And with rapid prototyping, we created a molding tool in-house with 3D printers. So, of course, we are able to print the final product via 3D printer, but we would like to test it similar to the traditional way to 3D printing the tooling itself, to make the silicon mold in-house of course, in low series. I mean, 10 pieces of prototypes or 20 pieces of prototypes or 100 pieces. And once it was completed, we can make the low series molding in-house with this 3D printed tooling. And you can see it's an early prototype of this product. And on the left picture, you can see what I'm talking about, the aluminum can, and on the top of it, the prototype of this reusable silicon material. So it is a simple silicon, but filled with a special amount of silver ionic particle. And it gives the result to be antibacterial effect by itself. So it works for a long time, very long time, and reusable, and can be washed and can be cleared, and it helps to sealing the already opened aluminum can. Okay. For further step, I would like to introduce you in another product that we developed. It is a medication dispenser, and it was a Hungarian startup who reached us, and we supported them through the project, and we mentored them, and we provide them suggestions and design guideline. So like a tutor. In this project, we get the startup's early idea, but there was a university students in a healthcare, so they had no engineering approach to this kind of product, and it's not problem, but they approached it as first time in a very different way what a development process requires. That's why we supported them and gives them a guideline and follow up the whole development process. And from the beginnings, on the left side, you can see the original idea by this healthcare university students. And we made the product optimization by step to reach the functional and well-working prototype. On the right side, you see it is the goal or the target what we reached together with them. And firstly, the concept was a medicine dispenser, what But you can see on the left side the description of short description of this product. It can absolutely automatically work and totally automated, and it helps to get the exact amount of and exact kind of material, medicine. I mean the pills you need to get in each morning or daily, twice or 3 times a day, and it is a good idea. But at the start point, at the beginning, it was many weak point, and there was not really feasible by the original imagination, and by the cooperation and by the guideline what we provided, I think it can be a successful product or a further result. To start, we started to work together, this university students, and we revealed them the weak points of the original imagination. And you can see on the picture that we made a Cinema 4D, a special kind of physical simulation, and what represents the behavior of different size of pills. And it is an editorial view, so what we see in the software directly, and we can simulate the real-time behavior of different surface, different kind of shape, and different pills with different masses as well, and it helps us to refine the product through the development. You can see the spare parts what built in the product. So there is a micro computer on the board, and OLED screen, and many other sensors and actuators and servos and any other electrical devices built in the product. And we also get the help of 3D printing technology. We realized it in-house with 3D printers and assembled it in-house to test it out and refine it and iterate in-house without the necessary sharing of any third-party company. So this kind of rapid prototyping, just to emphasize what kind of benefits has it, I would like to highlight also the feature that with the help of rapid prototyping, you doesn't need to share unnecessary informations and details because you can handle it in-house, and it is a privacy protection also. So the rapid prototyping, what I'm talking about in this case was very attractive and dynamic for us, and very useful to building the imagination in a physical form. And we can also testing electrical devices, electrical parts of this concept. Like on the picture, you can see the servo motors, which helps to dispense out the pills from this machine. And with the help of it, we can make a good result and give this solution then back for further development. So sorry about this technical approach, but I think it is also good to know about the development processes needed by the financial approach previously heard. May I could give you some new information about the development and R&D processes in a global. So that's all what I would like to show you today. Thank you. And if there is any question, I try to answer.
Sylvia raised her hand. Sylvia?
Yes. Thanks a lot. It was really nice, Martin, to see that complementing picture, so to say. As a startup founder myself, I think we're also sometimes stuck in the way we develop the product, and we don't think that there's plethora of tools to do it, and we are not only stuck in one method, one approach. So thanks a lot for highlighting it, because often we get paralyzed by inability to think beyond and use other tools. Go to a different company, ask them out for help, because your expertise, like you've mentioned, supporting other startups with just starting with the drawing and taking it actual to prototyping is super valuable. And advising someone to don't be shy, reach out to the experts and ask them for help, work with you to develop it is invaluable. Just not to get stuck really on your drawing and inaccurate approach to create a product at the end of the day. So thanks a lot for highlighting it. It was very interesting. And of course, technical details can be always more and less exciting. We build the machines with my engineer, so I'm really curious to see these things because I like to see how things work. But of course, for developing a product, each of the journeys of researchers could be separate. But knowing that there are companies that do collaborate, support scientists in their approaches is also super valuable. Because being at the interface now, I know that some companies don't do it by definition. To some companies, it's very difficult to reach out. And having you, I already added you to my mental list of companies, engineers also, that in case I have a question now, I know I can reach out to you and ask something and then help scientists who's perhaps stuck in their way. So thanks a lot for that. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. Thank you for paying attention.
Yeah, thank you, Sylvia, for this comment. So we wanted to have a presentation also on these early aspects of getting into this, how to be able to confront your idea with the clients. This is an approach provided by PBN. Looking if there are other questions, but meanwhile, please just raise your voice. I can also turn briefly to Martin. It was planned that you explain a bit how you use this offer also in the concept. When you support companies, and you wanted maybe also to say something about the ecosystem, about ID generation that you have. Is that still planned or not?
On my side, this presentation was the plan. May Martin, my colleague, can extend it if he knows something about it. May I give the word to him?
To be honest, a good question, Luc. Today we wanted to just focus on these industrial cases, which might be, of course, beneficial for the upcoming project activities. But as we have been doing the stuff required by Borut, these things might be overlapping, but in a little bit different way. Yep.
Yeah, it's fine. So I have maybe a question how you work on that with the trying to relate it to our project and innovation support provision. Are you working usually, I don't know if it's Martin or Martin who is the best to answer. Do you get development contracts with the companies to do that, or is it in the framework of some other research projects?
Which projects I highlighted, they are mostly market-based. And the other is also funded by government or any project, But
so when you say market-based, it means you get paid for doing this, or
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So it's really market-based projects like the reusable cap and this metal logo design, and the other solutions were market-based projects.
Okay. Are you also doing, because you have the equipment, and you're also doing trainings and things like this around this to companies and so on?
Yes, absolutely. We opened it. We did it. The training you need. You mentioned we did it in the past years ago. I don't know exactly when, but we did corporate training.
Okay.
By sharing technologies and the know-how. And it is also very important for us to sharing and being open-minded to cooperative solutions for anyone.
Okay, but you are clearly positioning yourself like a service provider more in this.
Yes, absolutely, because we are approaching the projects in multiple ways, in multiple viewpoints. Because in our team has the benefit, there are many different viewpoints. For example, I have different approach colleagues, like I'm an industrial design engineer, graphic designer, and I studied mechatronics as well. So I one of the responsible in 3D technologies and construction questions. But my other colleague is, for example, physicist, and
Okay.
And we are able to approach any kind of project in different complex ways. What is really important to analyze and understand a special development or R&D project well, and get a good result.
Okay, yeah.
Welcome.
Just looking, are there additional questions for Martin from PBN at this stage? No, I can't see any, so I think we can close the meeting for today. Thank you, Martin, for the presentation. Very interesting, also from my side. Big thank you to you, Sylvia, again. Borut left us, so but I will have the occasion to see him soon. To all, as usual, yeah, I mentioned at the beginning, the presentation will be soon available, as well as the recording. Laura will take care of that. So all the material is available, and yeah, take it with you, have a look at it, think if it's useful in the framework of the pilots that we will be developing in the project, the same, and in the following weeks, if it's an input for developing new services, either in your region or collaborative services, as we are thinking about what could we offer as a group or subgroups to companies to support them. And the next meeting for the training in 2 weeks from now, as usual, we have our 2 weeks meetings. Laura will send out the invitation and the program very soon. I know the partners are working on it, and I'm happy to see that we are always a good number of attendants, and I must say until now they have all been interesting, so I'm sure they will be also in the future. Thanks a lot for being with us, and see you soon in an upcoming meeting. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good day, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.